a question that transforms time. On April 14, 1950, at the foot of the sacred Arunachala mountain, Ramana Maharshi, the sage of silence, the torch that illuminates millions of souls, left his mortal body. His passing was not like a normal death. It was a gentle dissolution, like the wind returning to the sky, like a drop of water dissolving in the ocean. He left behind not grief, but an eternal legacy, a silent, luminous presence, permeating every breath of humanity. But from that moment on, a question has echoed through time, touching the spiritual core of humanity. After the body disintegrates, where does an enlightened being like Ramana Maharshi go? This is not just a curious question, but a question that touches the deepest concerns of man since the beginning of time. What is the fate of the soul after death? Is there heaven and hell? Is there reincarnation? Or is there a realm beyond all these concepts, where the enlightened ones have returned? The death of the worldly man and the mahasamity of the saint. For ordinary people, death is the end of a life, but not the end of the journey. When the body stops breathing, karma, the thoughts, emotions, desires, and actions of the life, will pull them into the cycle of rebirth, like a wheel that never stops turning. People die in fear and are driven by the force of karma, not by freedom. But for Ramana Maharshi, a person who directly realized the ultimate truth, death does not exist. For him, there is only mahasamity, complete absorption into the absolute self. The body may fall away like an old garment, but the light of consciousness, which is neither born nor dies, shines eternally. Ramana once affirmed, "I will never leave you. The body may perish, but I am not in the body." This is not a comforting promise, but the absolute truth. Ramana does not live in the body, does not depend on the form. He lives in existence itself, in the immortal consciousness that is the basis of all. Ramana and the eternal ocean of consciousness. To understand where Ramana Maharshi is after leaving the body, we must enter the world of Advaita Vedanta, the path of non-duality, where he himself realized. In this philosophy, all distinctions between I and the world, between observer and observed, are just illusions created by the mind. The body is just a temporary shell, like a garment worn and discarded. The mind with its memories, worries, desires is just a fleeting illusion. The true self, Atman, is neither born nor dies. It is identical with Brahman, the ocean of cosmic consciousness, the invisible but eternal foundation of all things. So, the so-called death for Ramana is not really an end. He did not go to heaven, nor did he fall into hell, nor was he reborn like an ordinary person. All these concepts apply only to the ego that is still bound by karma and ignorance. For Ramana, the event of leaving the body is simply a drop of water returning to the ocean, a ray of light merging with the sun. He is no longer somewhere, because he is everywhere. He no longer has a personal form, because he is the all-encompassing ground of the universe. When one attains non-dual self-realization, death is no longer a tragedy, but a return. Ramana Maharshi is no longer a person in history. He is the eternal manifestation of consciousness, the immortal heartbeat of the universe. Why do people still feel his presence? Even though it has been more than 7 decades since he left his physical body, millions of devotees, meditators and spiritual seekers around the world still affirm Ramana is still here, still alive in their every breath. This is not a figment of the imagination, but can be explained through many layers of meaning. The frequency of consciousness that Ramana Maharshi left behind is so powerful. Like a lamp illuminating the darkness, that light does not go out with the body. It continues to spread in the energy field of the universe, making a permanent mark on the collective consciousness of humanity. His teachings are not just words, but living energy. When one is silent, lets go of all thoughts, turns inward to ask who am I, one is not just practicing a technique, but is directly tapping into the energy of Ramana, for he himself has become one with that immortal essence. His presence is not limited to space and time. When one prays, meditates, or simply sits quietly in silence, one can feel Ramana right next to one, because in fact, he is that silence. Ramana Maharshi no longer exists as an individual with a name and a form. But in every moment you turn back to yourself, in the abode of pure consciousness, he is more present than ever. And that is why millions of hearts still feel that he is by their side, guiding them step by step on the journey back to their true self. Ramana is not outside, but within us. Ramana Maharshi once said a sentence that made generations of disciples shed tears and awaken. You ask me where I will go when I die. I am right here. I am not in the body, but in yourself. This is not a symbolic consolation, but a direct truth from the enlightened vision. Ramana does not exist as a form that can be lost. He exists as the immortal self, the very ground of presence in each person. This means, every time you ask the question, who am I, you are directly facing the vital energy of Ramana. Every time you let go of the shell of the body-mind, you are entering the light that he experienced. He is not in the past, not in some distant realm, but right in the present moment within you, in the deepest depths, where consciousness is untouched by time and space. If you seek Ramana outside, you will only find a shadow. But if you turn within, in the deep silence, you will find that he has never left. Ramana is the silent call within you, urging you to return home, to return to yourself. The light behind the Arunachala mountain. The day Ramana Maharshi entered Mahasamadhi, leaving behind the mortal body, an extraordinary event occurred. Thousands of witnesses recounted, in the sky of Arunachala, a streak of light as bright as a giant star streaked across, leaving a sacred echo in the hearts of everyone. For those present that day, it was not just an astronomical phenomenon. It was a sign of dissolution, as if his light left his body and returned forever to the infinite light of the universe. From that moment, Mount Arunachala was no longer just a mountain of stone. It became the living heart of Ramana, an immortal symbol, where every speck of dust, every breeze, every sunrise reminded him. Pilgrims come to Arunachala not just to admire the landscape, but to feel the energy of Ramana flowing around the mountain. Every step on the path around Arunachala, Pradakshina, is a direct connection with the light he left behind. The mountain became a spiritual beacon, guiding millions of souls to find their way back to themselves. Like that star, Ramana did not disappear, he only changed form. From now on, his light is no longer limited to a body, but spreads throughout the void, illuminating anyone who longs to find the true self. The enlightened soul, does it go anywhere? In most spiritual traditions, after death, a person embarks on a journey. Ordinary people, dragged by karma, reborn into the cycle of reincarnation, continuing the endless cycle of life, death, life. A practitioner who has reached a high level enters the realms of light, enjoys temporary bliss, and then eventually returns. The fully enlightened one no longer goes or comes, because he is settled in the unchanging ground where space and time have no meaning. Ramana Maharshi belongs to the third group. He does not move anywhere because he has never left the Absolute. What we call where Ramana goes arises only from the perspective of the ordinary mind, which is accustomed to seeing everything in the form of movement, birth, death. But in direct view, Ramana did not rebirth, because what else is there to be born? He did not go to heaven, because what is brighter than the absolute light? He did not disappear, because the light of the self cannot disappear. He returned to what was already there from the beginning, pure, formless, nameless, infinite existence. In that sense, Ramana never went anywhere. Why do people still see Ramana in dreams and meditation? A miracle is that, although he left his body in 1950, tens of thousands of people around the world still say that they met Ramana Maharshi in their dreams, in meditation, or in moments of deep silence. This is not a psychological illusion. This is the subtle truth of consciousness. Ramana's enlightened consciousness has permeated the cosmic energy field. Like a powerful lamp, that light still shines throughout space, and anyone whose inner eye is open can catch it. When a person keeps his soul pure, longing for liberation, he will naturally tune into that frequency. Ramana appears to support, guide, or simply inspire the inner journey. For many practitioners, his appearance is not just an image, but also carries healing energy, leading them back to a state of primordial stillness. In reality, they do not meet an external Ramana, but meet Ramana in the very depth of the self, the eternal part with which he is completely identified. When we dream of Ramana, or when he appears in meditation, it is a reminder. He has never left. He is right in our hearts, in the eternal source of consciousness. Lessons from Ramana's death. Ramana Maharshi's death was not an end, it was a living revelation. He showed humanity a fundamental truth. There is no real death. What we call death is only a change of clothing for the soul, a temporary drama of form. The immortal essence, the self, pure consciousness, is never destroyed. When Ramana left the body, he reminded us in his silence. Do not wait until the last moment to face death. Die now, that is, let go of the ego, realize impermanence, and rest in the unchanging ground. Those who fear death have not lived consciously. Those who understand the nature of death see every moment of life as an opportunity to merge into eternity. Ramana's death teaches us that man's greatest fear can be transformed into the door to ultimate freedom. Ramana is available every day. Don't think that to meet Ramana you have to make a pilgrimage to Arunachala, to go back to India in 1950, or to search in space and time. He was never limited by those coordinates. Right now, when you stop, breathe deeply, let your mind fall silent, and ask the only question that Ramana left to the world. Who am I? When all thoughts drop, when all identifications dissolve, you will see a presence that is still but alive, all-encompassing, clear. In that moment, you are meeting Ramana. He is not outside for you to worship, he is right in your heart, in the source of consciousness that you are. Remember, you can meet him every day, not in form, not in words, but in the direct experience of the deathless silence within you. And that is the truest encounter. 12 Immortal Teachings of Ramana Maharshi. 1. Who am I? The only question that leads you to the source of all questions. 2. The self is never born, nor does it die. 3. Silence is the language of God. 4. When the mind stops, presence itself shines. 5. You need not go anywhere to find God. He is within you as the I am dot. 6. True happiness does not come from outside, but from turning within. 7. Do not ask where I will go after death. I am right here, within you. 8. The world exists only because you think it is real. When you find the self, the world dissolves into light. 9. Suffering can only exist as long as you identify with the false self. 10. When you realize the real, the false disappears by itself. 11. The shortest path to enlightenment is to turn directly into yourself. 12. You need not seek anything else. You are already what you are seeking. Conclusion: the eternal torch of Ramana. Ramana Maharshi was not just a master who lived in the 20th century. He was the embodiment of the eternal truth itself, a torch that illuminates those who are weary in their search. His death was not the end, but the beginning of an eternal presence. More than 7 decades have passed since he entered Mahasamadhi, and that light continues to shine, guiding millions of hearts. The most profound lesson he left behind: don't go looking for answers out there. Don't chase after the shadow of impermanence. In the silence, in the I am, you will realize him, and realize your immortal nature. Ramana is not